Day 139. 2 Samuel chapters 19 through 21. David mourns Absalom's death. Joab rebukes him for not being more grateful for the victory and for letting his enemy's death weigh him down. David responds to his rebuke, putting a stop to his grief and going home to Jerusalem to appear before the people. But it seems like he harbors resentment for Joab's harsh words. The people of Israel aren't sure what to do with David now. Should they still regard him as king? The responses are divided along tribal lines. David's tribe of Judah has one opinion, and the rest of Israel has another. Judah is hesitant about reinstating him. As he tries to convince their leaders to reinstate him, he unexpectedly replaces Joab, the commander of his army, with Amasa, who was the commander of Absalom's army 24 hours earlier. This could be motivated by David's bitterness over Joab's rebuke or by David's desire to get Judah back on his side. Regardless, Judah reinstates him. This probably feels like a slap in the face to Joab, even though he sticks by David. Once David is king again, he pardons a bunch of his enemies. Shimei, the man who cursed at him, comes groveling before him, and David makes an oath not to kill him. Then Mephibosheth tells David an entirely different version of the story from what he heard from Ziba when he brought David the gifts in chapter 16, verses 1 through 4. Mephibosheth says he didn't try to take the kingdom away from David, and David seems to believe him. David has already given Ziba all of Mephibosheth's blessings, so he offers to split things up 50-50 in order to honor his commitment to both men, even though at least one of them is lying. He also makes a generous offer to Barzillai, one of the men who brought him food and provisions in exile. Barzillai rejects it and suggests David take another man, probably his son, back to Jerusalem with him. Judah and the rest of Israel are still divided about David, but the tables have turned. Judah backs David, and the other tribes oppose him. The Benjamites, Saul's tribe, think a Benjamite should be king. A Benjamite named Sheba calls for the men of Israel to leave David's army, and they do. David knows this is a problem, so he calls on his new military commander, Amasa, to gather their army and attack. Amasa procrastinates, so David calls in the second string, including Joab, the former commander. How awkward. When Amasa shows up, Joab pretends to greet him, but stabs him instead. With Amasa dead, Joab resumes his role as commander and goes after Sheba. He besieges the city where Sheba is hiding. He's ready to destroy the whole city, but a peaceable, faithful woman reasons with him. "There's no reason for you to kill us all. Just tell us what you want." Joab says they're just there for Sheba, and she promises to toss his head over the wall, which she does, eliminating the most recent threat to David's throne. She's praised for her wisdom, and she saves an entire city. When David asks God about a famine they're experiencing, God says it's because of Saul's sins. David has inherited not only the kingdom, but the consequences of the previous king's decisions. Saul killed some Gibeonites after promising to spare them, so David asked them how he can make it right. They want to kill 7 of Saul's descendants. David doesn't seem to consult God on the matter, and he decides it's better for 7 people to die than for many more people to die from famine. God never endorses David's response, and in fact the famine continues even after the men are killed and doesn't cease until they're buried, which some scholars view as a sign that God is displeased with David's actions. Today's God Shot. God takes sin seriously. Israel is suffering because a dead king broke a promise. His sin happened a long time ago, but God cares about justice. He can be trusted to handle those things, which means we don't have to take matters into our own hands. We can pursue Him instead of vengeance. We can love both Him and our enemies. When we're wronged, God can be trusted to work on our behalf in the hearts of those who have wronged us. And when we've wronged others, He works in us on their behalf. He's working to restore all things, including not only our stories, but our hearts. He's where the joy is.